Ever get the feeling like everyone's either in therapy or studying to be a therapist?
Hmm.
I mean, seriously, psychology is everywhere these days. You got to wonder why.
It is fascinating to see how much it's grown. And it's not just a recent thing either.
Well, we all have one, right? A mind, I mean. It's only natural to want to figure out how it ticks.
Absolutely. That and the age-old question of why people do the things they do.
I mean, who hasn't looked at someone and thought, what are they thinking?
All the time. It's like we're carrying around these crazy, complex machines in our heads. And psychology is kind of like offering us a peek under the hood.
Speaking of figuring things out, you ever hear that saying, instead of seeking help to heal, they chose to learn and break the seal? Makes you wonder, are people hitting the books instead of hitting up the therapist's couch?
There's definitely some humor in that. But it does bring up an important point. While psychology can offer some incredible insights, it's not like a magic cure-all.
So just because you can explain why you feel a certain way doesn't mean you automatically know how to change it.
Yes. Right. Understanding the why doesn't always translate to solving the how.
Okay, fair enough. But still got to be some overlap, right? Between, studying the mind and understanding your own mind. It's not like all these famous psychologists just kind of popped out of nowhere.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so interesting. Think about Carl Jung, for instance, the guy behind analytical psychology. He had some serious inner struggles throughout his life.
Really? So you're saying that shadow self thing,
Hmm.
that hidden part of our personality he talked about, that came from his own issues?
Well, it was definitely a driving force in his work. He believed everyone has these parts of themselves they try to hide or deny.
Because they don't fit with how they want to see
Yeah,
themselves.
exactly.
Oh.
But he believed that by understanding and accepting those hidden parts, the shadow self, people could become more whole, psychologically speaking. It's almost like his own struggles became a roadmap for other people to explore their own inner workings.
That is pretty deep. So it wasn't just theories in a vacuum, right? Like, personal experience was shaping the very foundation of psychology.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating interplay, and it shows up time and time again with these big names in psychology. Freud's another great example.
Oh yeah, the dream guy. Didn't he believe that our childhood experiences, especially the traumatic ones, shape us as adults?
Hmm.
And didn't he analyze his own dreams to develop some of his theories?
Exactly. He believed those difficult memories, the desires we try to push down, they get buried in the unconscious mind and can cause us a lot of distress. That's where his talking cure came in. It was all about bringing those buried experiences to light so they could heal.
So he was basically his own guinea pig.
In a way, yeah, he was very dedicated to the field, that's for sure.
Well, Freud could get a little intense, let's be honest.
Yeah.
What about someone like Karen Horney? Didn't she focus on more everyday struggles?
Absolutely. Horny was all about neurosis, those everyday anxieties and relationship issues that can really mess with your life. And it's interesting because her own struggles with self-doubt and difficult relationships directly influenced her work.
Man, it's starting to feel like a pattern here. These pioneers of psychology, they weren't just observing from a distance, were they? Like they were wrestling with their own demons and using that to try and understand the whole human experience.
It's amazing, isn't it? And it's a big part of what continues to draw people to psychology even today. As we get more comfortable talking about mental health, it's becoming less about clinical detachment and more about personal journeys.
So you're saying maybe this whole surge in psychology is tied to people wanting to figure themselves out.
Yeah.
Like a physician heal thyself, but for the mind.
Yeah, there's definitely something to that. It's like those lines between, personal growth and actually practicing psychology, they're getting kind of blurry.
Like a 2-for-1 deal, right?
Yeah.
Figure yourself out and maybe land a career too.
Right. And it makes sense, especially now that everyone's talking about mental health and well-being. It's not just about physical health anymore.
Totally. It's like we're finally realizing that our minds are just as important as our bodies. And as that stigma fades away, more people are willing to actually seek help.
Exactly. And that means needing more professionals, too. More therapists, more psychologists.
Sounds like a chicken and egg thing, right? More awareness leads to more demand, which leads to more people wanting to become psychologists.
It is. It's kind of crazy how these things are all connected, personal trends and what's happening in society. But it does make you wonder, is it all altruism? Or are some people diving into psychology to try and understand themselves first?
You mean like they secretly want to unlock the secrets of their own minds while they're helping other people?
I wouldn't say secretly. It's more like acknowledging that, yeah, personal experience can be a huge motivator. I mean, think about it. A lot of people who go into helping professions, whether it's healthcare or social work or even counseling, they often have their own stories, struggles they've gone through that make them want to help others.
It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Exactly. Having that lived experience, being able to empathize because you've been there, that's huge in a field like psychology. You connect with people on a deeper level.
But it's not just about personal experience, though. Like,
Yeah.
you still need the actual knowledge and skills to be a good
But
therapist.
absolutely. Personal experience is important, but it's not a replacement for actual training. And that's where things get even more interesting.
You mean because psychology is always changing and adapting to keep up with the times?
Exactly. As more people get interested in psychology, we need more specialized training, more innovative approaches. Things are evolving so fast. And you know what's really cool? All this interest is bringing in more funding for research.
It's got to be a good thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, more research means better treatments, better therapy options for people.
Exactly. But it's not just about the science either. This is bringing in so many new perspectives. Like, there's more emphasis now on things like cultural differences, how our environment affects our mental well-being.
So psychology is getting more inclusive.
It is. It's like it's finally catching up to how complex people and society really are. But it's not all sunshine and roses.
Oh, right. We were talking about that before, how the demand for therapists is just exploding.
Yeah, there's a real shortage of qualified professionals right now. It means people are waiting longer to get help, and some communities just don't have access at all.
That's a serious issue. Makes you realize we need to invest more in training new psychologists, make sure everyone who needs help can actually get it.
Absolutely. It's a tough problem, but at least this surge in interest is a good sign, right? We're talking about mental health more. People are more open to seeking help.
It's like that proverb we mentioned. Instead of seeking help to heal, they chose to learn and break the seal. Maybe it's not really an either a thing. Maybe learning about psychology, whether you're a professional or just curious, is part of that journey.
I think you're right. It's a bridge between personal growth and making society better as a whole. The more we get ourselves, the more we can get each other right.
It's a journey, for sure, and it seems like a lot more people are starting that journey these days.
They are. And who knows what we'll find as we keep exploring.
Well, that's a pretty awesome thought to leave on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of psychology. It's an amazing field, and honestly, I'm excited to see what the future holds.
Me too. And remember, whether you're a pro or just starting to learn, that journey of self-discovery, that's part of the whole experience.
Until next time, folks, keep those minds curious and those hearts